Welcome to this session, Board Health Check, Succession Planning. Succession and success go hand in hand, but succession planning for your board is more than just one out, one in. This simply means that even when your board and organisations operate successfully, it's important to put a plan in place for succession. You don't always know when a trustee will leave, people's circumstances change, and it's so much more than one out, one in. For continued success, who that person is and what they can contribute matters. Having a viable succession plan will instill confidence in the process when it's all being prepared. For this webinar, we will use the word trustee to direct committee members or committee members. Charities, also guidance states that the law considers all of these individuals to be charity trustees. This cartoon, I suppose I'll be the one elephant in the room, simply refers to a commonly found situation where trustees don't want to discuss the possibility or eventuality of a chair or trustee leaving until it happens, even if it applies to them. The phrase "we'll deal with it when it happens" is a resounding one. There can be resistance to face and be proactive about change, leaving it to the last minute instead. In 2018, reported that 50% of charities have an income of less than £95,000. Those charities are entirely volunteer-led and run. 72% of charities recruit by word of mouth. 33% recruit every year. These figures are becoming dated now, and it will be interesting to compare them to those recorded since 2020 to find out what effect the pandemic has had. Oscar have been contacted with requests for updated statistics. Nevertheless, these figures are still relevant and demonstrate the challenges charities face: funding, limited resources, and a third of recruiting against those constraints annually. The main challenges that boards report are getting enough trustees who are different from each other with different skills, getting young trustees involved. The average age of trustee is 62. Effective succession planning will mean that your board's collective skills, knowledge, experience, and representation remains relevant and strong, even when its trustees change. More often than not, boards don't have enough trustees, nor enough of the specific skills required, especially as organisations grow and change or diversify. Most boards struggle to attract young trustees, unless organisational core purposes directly relate to them. There are many reasons why younger people don't naturally come forward, and for boards to remain relevant and representative, these issues are vital to address to avoid complacency. The benefits of recruiting young trustees: insight and perspective leading to better governance, develop the next generation of potential charity leaders. They have enthusiasm for learning and keen to develop skills, help in a charitable cause. It increases the board's credibility and the group. Make a conscious effort to attract young trustees. Make them feel that their skills, knowledge, and experience are valuable because of them in spite of it. Think about what they gain from it and use them involved. Recruiting young trustees helps to future-proof your organisation. If you can retain them and their positive experience, it can inspire other young trustees to join. What does successful succession involve in understanding your organisation's current position and strategic direction? Refer to your latest annual report and most recent minutes. Does your organisation have an up-to-date business plan? Are trustees aware of it and familiar with it? This is important because prospective trustees who are serious about joining and on knowledge of charity's current status and future direction. Secondly, what does successful succession plan require? An appreciation of your organisation's rules for trustee retirement, rotation, and recruitment. These will be explained in your governing document, also known as your constitution, or your memorandum of arts. It is worth checking that all trustees have recited this document recently and broadly understand its contents. In the case of older charities, there is a risk that the original or revised document may not have been viewed for some time. Avoid assumptions and check for any factors that could influence the recruitment process. In this cartoon, I know you want the business to be able to operate without you, but just pretend I'm not here isn't going to do it. Board succession planning requires assertiveness. People can downplay their role, but this isn't helpful. It puts the onus on others to sort out what will become a problem, although it doesn't have to be. If you're aware that the withdrawal of a trustee's time and expertise is going to have a negative impact, it's in everybody's interest to work together to resolve it. Step 1, check the rules. What does your governing document, your constitution, say? Are there special rules? Do you need to have specific types of trustees on board? Some things that your governing document might say. You may need to have someone specific on your board. You may need to have service user representation. You may be able to co-opt non-member trustees. And what is co-option? Co-option is a way of bringing someone onto your board at any time, outside the usual process of board election at AGM. This can be particularly useful in fulfilling an area of expertise required. You should minute the nature of this role so that there is no confusion and misunderstanding in the future. And templates are provided to assist you. The first, doing a skills audit, explains how. The second, individual skills audit, ask each trustee to complete this. These help you to understand what skills you have on your board, what skills are missing, and what skills you want to fill. This only really works as an in-person exercise, and therefore it is designed to give you an overview of templates to follow that you can use with your own board. The templates are not shown here because they can't be fitted to the slides. At the end of the webinar, when you have the slides and templates, it will become clearer how to use them. The skills audit is a really useful exercise in its own right for establishing what skills already exist. It can highlight skills trustees did not know others had and strengthen the board's overall capacity. If you do find that there's a skills gap, this is the time to recruit. In continuing step 2, the skills audit evaluation is the third part. Complete this to reflect on the information obtained from the individual skills audit. This will help you to assess the current board in relation to your organisation's objectives and potentially help to fill skills gaps. Step 3, attracting and advertising. Find a way to get potential candidates excited about becoming a trustee. What does the charity do? What difference does it make? Talk about the work you do, achievements you're proud of, what you can offer trustees, for example, new skills, more confidence, personal satisfaction. You know why you want to recruit. Maybe it's about resolving a problem, but what would attract you if you were thinking about joining your board now? Try to tell a story that would appeal to potential trustees. Remember, good trustees are always in demand and may be in a position of choice. People sign up for different reasons. Issues close to their heart, to improve the life of the community, or because they want to develop a particular skill to build their CV. Step 4, choosing the right person. What are you looking for? Refer to the outcomes from step 2, skills audit. Draw up a job description and person specification with essential and desirable qualities to help you find the right match. Then find a place to advertise. More can be found on where to advertise for trustees on slide 28. Enthusiasm is welcome and can go a long way, but being specific about what you need has more potential to attract the right candidates. If you end up with enthusiasm without filling a skills gap, you could go back to where you started. It also helps to let people down gently if you can say that you're looking for a particular skill set. Their own personal attributes might work very well in another part of your charity's work. Step 4, continued. How are you going to select someone? Will you have an informal chat or a more formal interview? Decide what format works best for your organisation. What skills are you recruiting for? Is there someone on your board who is comfortable with recruitment? If you already have an HR person on your board, you have an advantage. Even so, it is worth considering what style best fits your organisation. Many people feel somewhat nervous while they're recruiting or being recruited, and you'll want to feel confident that the process will deliver. The nature of the role you're recruiting for example, a treasurer, may influence your approach. Bear in mind that though it's likely to be a voluntary role, credible applicants may take the responsibility as serious as a paid role and expect you to do the same. Step 5, elect. What does your governing document say? Do you have a membership? If so, does your governing document provide for one or more trustees to be nominated and elected by a wider membership? Do you have trustee consent and declaration forms? We have already covered the first point, and you will know if your organisation has a membership. If it does, your membership can nominate and elect trustees. This typically happens at your organisation's AGM. It can be a quick way to increase your board's number, but emphasise the need to know what skills you need, who's joining and why. Trustee consent and declaration forms formalise the process, and templates are provided for that final step. Step 5 continued. Potential candidates will need to have their eligibility checked, meet them to find out if they'll be a good fit for your organisation. If they're willing to join you, take up references and ask for proof of qualifications if that is relevant. Ask them to sign a trustee consent and declaration form. This clarifies what they're signing up to and clarifies the relationship. Basically, if you don't know them, make sure they are who they say they are. All trustees share responsibility, but this is especially important for those with access to finance, personal information, and so on. Arrange a face-to-face meeting if possible. If not, Zoom. Take up references and qualifications, again if relevant. Credible candidates will be willing to provide them. Finally, complete the paperwork. Step 6, inducting someone new. It is vital to get the induction right. The induction checklist will help you do this. The essentials are a basic folder of policies, meeting with key staff, field trips to see work in practice, and a formal event with other trustees. Start by asking existing trustees what they would have found useful to know. Induction can be overlooked, but should be given the same weight as a paid role. It gives a good first impression and shows a new trustee or trustees that you're taking their appointment seriously. They're likely to do the same. Make it interesting. Take them to see work in action and arrange a social setting to meet other trustees if practical. Ask other trustees that with hindsight, what would they have wanted to know? Step 6 continued. Adapt the induction to the size and capacity of your organisation. Consider the value of mentoring before the new trustee joins, and in the first year, for example, invite good prospects to observe a board meeting. This initial support and preparation can contribute towards a new trustee becoming more effective more quickly. Be realistic about what induction will look like for your organisation. Mentoring can be time well spent in securing good candidates who already have some real experience with your organisation and how it functions. If they still want to commit, that's a good sign. Keep up this positive association by offering some continuity until the role becomes more established. Things to highlight to new trustees: your purposes and your vision, your annual accounts, your meeting schedule, policies, governing document, key stakeholders, and staffing. This is very much a guide about what to provide for new trustees. Some are more obvious than others, and may even highlight areas needing work that a new trustee can contribute. It is important for new trustees to understand the expected time commitment from the outset to ensure they can commit to the meeting schedule and any tasks they're responsible for. A list of key holders help inform the new trustees about partners, supporters, and beneficiaries. Our final cartoon is really making the point that this is not as unlike scheduled trustees skills audit evaluation, an induction checklist, and a trustee consent and declaration form. Should you request these templates, they will come in Word form, and you'll be able to alter those documents to suit your own organisation. These are a list of the references that we have used to put together this board succession plan and webinar that you may also find useful to you. When recruiting young trustees, A really insightful blog written by a young trustee can be found here. It was written in 2019, but is still relevant and worth having a look at. The International Voluntary Services campaign called Young Trustees, another point of reference, and you can check how up to date that is. And Edinburgh Neighbour University has its own campaign here, again, worth looking at. And here are some ideas about where to advertise for trustees. Good Moves tend to be the most common. Arts and Business Scotland had a section where they could also provide a space for advertising for trustees. And some of these are free and some may have a payment. The Small Charities Coalition and Volunteer Scotland. Some professional associations actually encourage their employees to volunteer, and some private companies offer their staff time off to volunteer as part of their continuing professional development. You can contact HR departments of local companies and ask to advertise in a notice post, and of course, use social media. That is the end of our session.